Well, Rassie has named his squad to take on the Wallabies in the Rugby Championship this year. And in this video, you and I are going to share our opinions on what we think of the squad. And I've also put together a prediction of what I think is going to be the first team the Springboks will play in Cape Town against the Wallabies in the first test of this year's Rugby Championship. So let's get into the video right now. I'm like many of you out there, I can't wait for the Rugby Championship to start this year. Why do we have such a long break from the July series and heading into the Rugby Championship? I don't know. Maybe one of you can tell me why we've got to wait for so long for this competition to get underway. But it's going to be a super exciting competition, and of course at the moment the teams are in different phases of naming their squad. Rassie Erasmus has named the Springbok squad to take on the Wallabies, and I've had a go in this video in putting together my 23 that I think will play for the Springboks against the Wallabies in Cape Town in that first game. So this video has two components to it. We'll have a look at the overall squad that Rassie has picked against the Wallabies, and then we'll have a look at the prediction I've put together for that first game. Now, I'd love to hear your views on both. Let me know what you think about Rassie's squad. Are there some notable names missing in your opinion? And what about my prediction? Do you think I've got it anywhere near correct for that first game against the Wallabies? First of all, look at the squad that Rassie has named, and we'll start off in the forwards, and it's De Jager is number one on my list, and fantastic, deserving of this. I think he's going to be the future in the forwards for the Springboks, so very good appointment. Then we've got Jean-Luc Dupree, and another good appointment here. Haven't seen too much of Jean-Luc Dupree play, but I'm looking forward to him maybe getting a run at the back end of this Rugby Championship. We'll have to wait and see on that one, but I don't think he's going to be in the starting group as far as I'm concerned. Then we have Pieter-Steph du Toit, Eben Etzebeth, Vincent Koch, Siya Kolisi, Wilco Louw. Then we've got Bonami in there as well. We've got Oxenchair, Ruan Nortje, Natabakani. We've got Manus van der Verve, who played that brilliant game against Georgia, scoring a couple of tries on debut. And one of those debutants along with him, Boan Venter, has also got into the squad. So that's very good news. Kobus Visa has got into the squad along with Jan-Hendrik Wessels, R.G. Schneemann, Marco van Staden, Franco Mostert, Malcolm Marx and Quagga Smith. That'll be the forwards that have been selected in this squad. Now we'll go through the backs before I give you my predictions. And we've got Kurtley Ardenser, Damien Deolandi, Fassi at fullback, Creel, Manny Lebox in there, Kanan Moody, Grant Williams of course has been one of the standout players I think in the Springboks games so far. Andre Esterhuizen, Sasha Feinberg and Goma Zulu. Then we've got Colby, we've got Willie LaRue, Andre Pollard, Kobus Reinhardt, Edwil van der Verve, Morne Vandenberg and Damien Willems as the complete squad that Rassie has named to take on the Wallabies. Now what I've done is, in my prediction, I've put together my 23, and let's start off in the forwards. And I think the forwards from the front row point of view, for me, we're going to see Oxenchair, we're going to see Malcolm Marx, and we're going to see Wilco Louw. I'm going on that because I think Oxenchair is playing brilliant rugby again this year. He's very, very good. Malcolm Marx is playing well, and I'm going to give Wilco Louw the other propping position to start this game. I just think his size is going to be a big factor against this Wallaby team, and I know that the rest of the props in the South African team are huge beasts as well, but I just like what Wilco Louw can bring to this and unsettle that Wallaby scrum. So that's going to be my starting three in the front row. And then the locks, I think we're going to see Etzebeth and Nortje. They've been going well together, these two. And I think from a line-out perspective, it's going to be important for the Springboks to get a lot of good ball. And whilst I could have put Franco Mostert in there, I'm going with Ruan Nortje and Eben Etzebeth. I think over the last couple of games, these guys have played very, very well together, and I expect them to start against the Wallabies. Okay, loose forwards, 6 and 7. Well, it's Pieter-Steph du Toit for me. You can't go beyond that guy. And I think that Rassie is going to want to start the series against the Wallabies with a very experienced team, because Rassie is not going to underestimate this Wallabies outfit under Joe Schmidt. From what he's seen against the Lions, I think he's been probably impressed like a lot of others have, and he's not going to take too much for granted. So we're going to see a lot of experience in the Springbok team, I think, to start this campaign. So we're going to see Peter Steph du Toit in the number 6, and we're going to see Siya Kolisi back in there as captain, I believe, in number 7. I think Siya needs another run, and I think this is a good opportunity for Rassie to give him this, even if he gets 50 or 60 minutes. I think we'll see Siya Kolisi starting this game against the Wallabies in Cape Town. And then at number 8, we're going to see Cobus Wiese. As far as I'm concerned, I think he did a good job in there against Georgia, and I think he's going to be the number 1, number 8 until we see his brother come back from his 4-game suspension. I talk about my predictions for the bench after I've gone through the backs, so let's have a look at the backs first. And I think we're going to see Grant Williams in the number 9 jersey, and I think we're going to see Manie Libbok in the number 10 jersey. And the reason I'm saying this is, one, we're playing in Cape Town, it's Manie's backyard, and also I just think this combination to start off the series against the Wallabies is going to be something that we see from Rassie. And then outside him, we're going to see Damian Diolandi and Jesse Kriel in 12 and 13. I don't think there's going to be any experimenting with Canan Moodie in this particular first test against the Wallabies. And then on the wings, I think we're going to see Kurtley Ardenser and Cheslin Colby. Yes, that's going to be the 14 and 11 in this game. And we're going to see Fassi at fullback. So I don't think there's going to be too much experimentation going on from the Springboks in this first game against the Wallabies. They're going to want to start off the Rugby Championship with a positive win, and they're going to make sure that their top team, or close to their top team, is playing in form, because I'm sure Rassie's got that game against the All Blacks at Eden Park in the back of his mind. So he's going to have to juggle a little bit the squad in this predicament as he heads into the beginning of the Rugby Championship. Now, I think Rassie's going to go for a 6-2 split in this game against the Wallabies. He's going to want to overpower them up front in the second half, and I think that's going to be a big part of the strategy. So when we're looking at the bench, the 2 backs we're going to see in my prediction team is going to be Cobus Reinhardt coming on as number 9, and we're going to have Andre Pollard as the other back that can come on and obviously be a utility cover across the field. And also, if Manie Libbok's not having the best game, then Andre Pollard is another strategic option for Rassie to bring on during this first test match in Cape Town. So those are the 2 backs that I would have on the bench. Okay, then let's have a look at the forwards that I would bring on in this game, and let's start off in the front row. And for me, it'll be Jan-Henrik Wessels, Bonnami, and it would be Manus van der Verve. Yes, I think that would be a great combination to bring on to have a real impact against these Wallabies in the second half when Rassie decides to pull the ripcord on that. And then for the rest of the forwards, I think we're going to see R.G. Schneemann. His beautiful offloads, his ability to get through the line and create a break is outstanding for the Springbok team, and I think you can't go past R.G. Schneemann coming on in the second half having that kind of impact. So I think he's definitely going to be a bench starter in this game. And then we're going to have Quagga Smith, and we're going to have Marco van Staden. Those are going to be the other 2 forwards that I would choose off the bench. So mobility, size, and power and strength up front. I think that's what Rassie's going to look for against this Wallabies team. I think this Rugby Championship competition this year in 2025 is going to be the closest we've ever seen, and I think it's going to be the hardest to predict on what's going to happen. There's a lot of good players in all the teams that are coming into this championship, and most of them are playing in pretty good form. It's going to be a case of what do the coaches do in terms of some of these lineups, because I'm sure Rassie's got those 2 games in New Zealand in the forefront of his mind, but he's got to be careful against the Wallabies, and he's also got Argentina at the back end of this tour. And I would suspect that that's when we're going to see some of the peripheral players perhaps play against Argentina if the Springboks are able to get the job done against the All Blacks in at least one of the games in New Zealand. So it's a really great mystery this year going into the Rugby Championship, and I think the squad that Rassie has picked has really given us an opportunity to look at those players on the peripheral to see whether they'll get some of that very important game time in critical games in this year's Rugby Championship. You know, people for me like De Jager, who's right on the peripheral, who could come into this team, but then you've got people with the experience like Franco Mostert, who you can't really leave out in the big moments, and I think we might see him come in to partner Eben Etzebeth when we get to Auckland and Wellington in New Zealand. But again, Ruan Norkeer's been playing really good rugby, so there's a huge amount of competition in this team for the South Africans, such as the bench as well. You could quite easily have Damian Willemse there on the bench in a 6-2 split, and that work out very, very well for the Springboks. I think we're going to see the likes of Sasha Feinberg and Goma Zulu and Kanan Moody come into the team, perhaps against Argentina or the second game against the Wallabies, and that's when I think we might see Rassie change a few things around. But the great thing that Rassie's got here is he's got significant amount of depth in each position, and he's been able to go with what he feels is going to be the right team against the right opposition. And when I say the right opposition, if they want to play a certain way against that opposition, they're going to pick a certain team to do that. And I think this team that I've chosen to play against the Wallabies is going to play that upfront strength game to take the power game away from the Wallabies. That's going to create a lot of ball winning opportunity for the Springboks, and they're going to be able to muffle out the Australian Wallabies backline getting into this game at all. And I think that's the strategy that Rassie would use with this team that I've selected in this 23. Anyhow, that's my opinion, and when it comes to that Wallabies first test match. So now I would love to hear from you. So why don't you let me know first of all what you think of the squad that Rassie's picked to take on the Wallabies, and then let me know with the 23 that I've chosen where you would make different changes for the first game that's taking place in Cape Town. I look forward to reading all of your thoughts around that one. Okay, that's it for this particular video. If you're enjoying my content and you're a regular viewer of the channel, please hit the subscribe button, helps me out a lot. And if you're also new to the channel, stay along for the journey. There's plenty of international rugby coming up here between now and the end of the year. I'm going to be following all the Rugby Championship games. I'll be looking at the World Cup qualifiers and making the comments on the Women's Rugby World Cup this year. So there's an abundance of international rugby coming up over the next few months, and I'll be here always with it on my channel. If you've enjoyed this video today, give it a thumbs up, a like, and support it as much as you can. And don't forget to drop your comments. I love reading them all and finding out what your opinions are about these topics that we are discussing. Okay, time for me to go. I'll say adios from now from Cancun in Mexico. I'll be back again very soon. Until then, keep safe, keep well, keep enjoying your rugby across the world, and it's time to say bye-bye for now.